I think the walk is really important, and that's what I'm, across the board gonna defend.
Where is Toby? Raise your hand, Toby. Where's Toby? Thank you, Toby.
Spider-Man No Way Home is setting records at the box office, while other superhero movies have been struggling. So what's different about this film from the others? We take a no-spoilers look at the smashing success of Spider-Man No Way Home. Before Spider-Man No Way Home, there was little doubt that Marvel's franchise was struggling in its post-Avengers phase. Inside the US, some films from the last 2 years, like Black Widow and Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, made headlines for topping the box office or breaking records. But those reports came with a pretty big asterisk. They were breaking pandemic records.
Well, yeah, because there is a pandemic. I mean, they'd probably do better if there wasn't. Yeah,
Meaning the films were at the top of the box office only compared to the last 2 years' worth of films. And since there weren't many huge accomplishments during that time, it's not much to write home about. Stacked up against all-time records, these films barely register any significance on the earnings.
I mean, the truth is, like, half the reason that all movie theaters across the country are not totally out of business is Marvel movies. Like, that's kind of the only thing keeping the shit afloat these days.
Radar.
They're breaking the pandemic records because they're not hard records to break, because a lot of movies are fucking bombing. Big productions too, like that. The one that comes to mind is that Steven Spielberg, fucking not Romeo and Juliet, but the remake with the gangsters and shit. I can't remember. West Side Story. That's it. That was like a huge production. That was something they were expecting to, go viral and become super popular, and everyone's quoting and getting the soundtrack like fucking Hamilton or some shit, and it just absolutely bombed into oblivion. So the movies that are still getting butts in seats are Marvel movies. That's just what it is.
Then Eternals came out and was widely promoted as the future of the Marvel Cinematic Universe's Phase 4. That's the
Eternals
stage
sucked.
of the franchise after the original Avengers lineup. The stars of Eternals.
That shows, to me, when a Marvel movie bombs, I think that actually shows its strength. It's like, yo, we can bomb a movie and we're still gonna go strong. Like then Spider-Man No Way Home is gonna come out and we're gonna break every fucking record there is, regardless of a pandemic going on.
Salma Hayek and Gemma Chan made interview rounds praising it for having the most inclusive, diverse cast ever.
It breaks all the rules because it has a completely diverse cast.
The movie also offered the increased LGBT representation that Marvel head Kevin Feige had been long promising with the franchise's first gay superhero, Phastos.
That's why it bombed,
He shared a lengthy kiss with a same-sex partner. Overtly marketed as evidence of the MCU's progressive evolution, Feige told Variety that it was past time for Marvel to feature more LGBT characters, and Phastos was just the start. The result?
He was one of the best
Eternals
parts
was
of the
one
movie,
of only
to be
2
honest.
bona fide flops in the studio's history, the other being Ed Norton's 2008 version of the Hulk. Fans had even started to sour on the Disney Plus streaming series, as Feige led the charge in championing Loki's supposed gender fluidity and Falcon's retconned feelings of BLM-style hostility toward the country he once served. Audiences reportedly began tuning out. The latest release, Hawkeye, attained the dubious honor of lowest-ranking MCU to debut on the platform. As studios are wont to
almost
do,
like the
Marvel
straight
and
white
its parent
guy
company Disney blamed
show
fans'
was the one that
cooling
did the
interest
worst.
on anything
Maybe they need more
and
inclusion.
everything, except for
I'm
their
just kidding.
decision
That was a
to
good
push
show.
woke
I like that
agendas
show.
in their products. It was the result of new releasing models, they claimed, or bad timing, or superhero exhaustion. But mostly, they and the media insisted
Wokeness.
it was simply the new reality of COVID. No movie could expect to put up pre-pandemic numbers. Then came Spider-Man No Way Home. In its opening weekend, Spider-Man No Way Home didn't just break pre-pandemic records, it decimated them, scoring the second highest domestic opening of all time, just behind 2019's Avengers Endgame. In just 3 days, it brought in more money than any other COVID-era film has in its entire theatrical run. Globally,
people
No
love
Way Home's
Spider-Man. What are you gonna
performance
say?
has been arguably even more impressive, with the third highest debut in history, behind the last two Avengers movies. And what's even more
people's champion.
impressive is that it did all of this without China, the world's largest film market. In contrast, both of those Avengers releases had the advantage of a huge number of Chinese dollars in their totals. So clearly, the idea that post-COVID Marvel can't compete due to virus-averse audiences is a myth. The question is, why has Spidey succeeded where all the other recent cinematic superheroes have failed?
We'll get back to our video in a moment.
I don't know, dude. This Spider-Man movie is all about like rehabilitative justice, like at any cost. Not sure that's exactly conservative gospel.
Boasts a number of streams of appeal, including a social media popularity
It also has a lot of like witchcraft and like devil shit. I don't know if Christians would be a big fan of that.
of stars Tom Holland and Zendaya, as well as a genuinely inventive fan-servicing plotline. But there's one factor you can't overlook, yet probably won't hear much about in mainstream box office analysis. That is, if you don't go woke.
A
you
woke
not only
free
don't go
blast.
broke,
They just,
stand
dude, that's the
breaking
thing. They
high.
know they lost on this one. If this movie bombed, they would be saying it's woke. They would 100. Oh, dude, if this movie bombed, if it was just like a shit movie for no other reason, like maybe just the special effects were terrible and like the actors were awful, the writing was bad, whatever, but it was mostly the same movie, they'd be like, this BLM drenched take on rehabilitative justice and helping criminals obviously wouldn't sell. Go woke, go broke. Like, they're so full of shit, dude. It's just because it's winning, they got to be like, oh yeah, no, it's totally not woke. It's like, yeah, no, it's just good old-fashioned superhero antics.
Piles and piles of cash. Here are all the ways No Way Home bucked the woke MCU trend. Read their chat boards and you'll learn just how weary faithful Marvel fans have grown in the last few years of race and gender and sexuality swapping with major characters for no better reason than so Marvel and Disney executives can brag that they've done it. When significant changes are made with an integral story to explain them, as in the case of Miles Morales' version of Spider-Man and Sam Wilson's turn as Captain America, audiences seem to have no problem with it. But do it purely for the virtue signaling, as in the case of the female Ajax in Eternals and the queer Loki, and it grates. No Way Home avoids this problem on every front.
What do they mean queer Loki, dude? They literally just, that's the same thing. There was a version of Loki in a multiverse. I was a woman. He's not gender fluid, bro.
If you grew up as a
Fucking
Spider-Man
idiots haven't even
fan,
watched the show.
it takes great care to protect and celebrate the hero you knew as a child. He doesn't suddenly develop confusing feelings for
It's just comfort food. It's comfort food for conservatives. It's like, obviously everyone fucking loves Spider-Man. Spider-Man's cool as shit. Known Antifa member, Spider-Man, is cool as shit. And everyone wants to like him, so they have to smooth out the rough edges for their audience. But oh yeah, no, it's not woke. Yeah, dude, totally. This is why it's successful, because it's not woke. It's like, dude, they changed MJ to a black woman. What do you how do you feel about that? Huh? Is that wokeness? Because black people are involved now. I mean, they changed Ned's race too. Is that not woke? I guess. I mean, I don't think it is. I don't know what. It just seems like conservatives always just woke is when queer people or any kind of minority group is involved.
friend Ned, or discover some new commitment to battling climate change.
So full of shit,
Same
dude.
Peter Parker.
They would be saying that. That's the thing. If it had bombed, they'd be like, oh, dude, they turned MJ black out of wokeness for no reason. She's supposed to be a redhead. You dumb bitches.
always loved in a news story. In 2015, Stan Lee said of his creation, "I wouldn't mind if Peter Parker had originally been black, a Latino, an Indian, or anything else."
Woke king Stan Lee, dude. I mean, truly like ahead of his time. And I've gone on this rant before, but I'm doing it again. God damn it. Stan Lee, the thing that was impressive about him is that he did it in a time when it really was, he set that trend. Like now we're, these idiots at Daily Wire and shit are complaining, oh, they're just turning everyone, they have to make everyone inclusive and all the different groups have to be represented. Stan Lee like started that. He was the one when it was totally cool. Like look at DC, like literally everyone in the Justice League was a white dude or white woman. And Stan Lee was like, no, I'm gonna create a superhero called Black Panther after the very relevant to my time period Black Panther Party, who was considered like a terrorist group by most white conservatives. I mean, that was ballsy, dude. God bless him. Rest in peace, man. I need a 9 drop for that. Oh, there we go. Dropping 9s for my guy.
But we originally made him
True
white.
legend.
And I don't see any reason to change that. It has nothing to do with being anti-gay or anti-white. And I don't see any reason to change that. It has nothing to do with being anti-gay or anti-black or anti-Latino or anything like that. Latino characters should stay Latino.
Oh, no.
The Black Panther should certainly not be Swiss. Well, moviegoers...
So he said that, but there's another quote where he said that the popularity of Spider-Man was a lot because he wore a full bodysuit that, you know, he could be anybody. That was the idea of Miles Morales was, and they did this little scene in Spider-Verse where it's like anybody can wear that mask. That's the powerful thing about it. Like I think that quote was taken a little out of context from Stan. You know.
With exceptions granted for creative storytelling, seem to agree with Stan Lee. That said, No Way Home does in fact have a significantly diverse cast. Love interest MJ is half black. Peter's best friend Ned was Filipino. His high school rival is Guatemalan, all of which makes perfect sense given that Peter lives in Queens.
Damn.
The adult cast displays a
Persian
similarly varied background for similarly sensible reasons. Yet the film never makes an issue of this fact. Neither did any of the principal actors or filmmakers on the promotion circuit. No one ever suggested, as the Eternals did.
Dude, they literally have though. Like in the first movie, they talked about like making his school a lot more diverse. Like.
That it would be a huge leap forward for fans to accept MJ and Peter as an interracial couple. They trusted the audience would only care about the charisma and chemistry between the characters. And so they did. The fact that Spidey isn't suddenly a social justice warrior doesn't mean his
kind of is, dude. What do you mean, dude? He's rehabilitating criminals.
Doesn't contain engaging socio-political themes. The best Marvel movies have always incorporated real philosophical questions about the way nations and powers conduct themselves. Think how Guardians of the Galaxy explores a tolerant, pluralistic society that combats religious fanaticism, or how Captain America: Civil War
That's pretty woke, dude.
questions the necessity of government oversight. The
pretty woke.
problem is when the MCU starts abandoning complex issues for cheap left-wing counterfeits, like Captain Marvel's girl power and Eternals representation. No Way Home goes back to deep...
Dude, that's just, they're all, that's the thing. So she's basically saying, if it's a good movie, it's conservative, no matter what it says. If it's a bad movie, then it's left-wing. It's like, they're all inclusive. They're all like saying good moral takes on philosophical questions, like she said, but that a lot of those things are pretty left-wing in my opinion. Like the importance of people having a say in their government, the importance of you know, what was the other movie she mentioned, Guardians, the importance of how to deal as being an outcast in a very diverse society. How do you find your tribe, find your place, you know, how do you conduct yourself in a very tribalistic and separate society, you know. Just losing my words there, but
intelligent issues. Namely, what kind of nation are we if we no longer allow individuals the possibility of redemption? As young viewers watch opportunities dry up for this beloved character and his high school pals as a result of media assassination and the insane fury of mobs who don't know.
And right-wing fucking conspiracy theorists. Dude, literally, J. Jonah Jameson is on a Alex Jones InfoWars set. Like, that's what they're talking about. Yeah, come on, dude.
For them, they get an inkling of just how evil cancel culture is. As part
cancel culture, bro. Oh my god. They get an idea of how evil fear-mongering is and right-wing misinformation is.
Part of his effort to combat this illiberal and destructive ideology, Spidey finds himself in a showdown on top of an iconic American symbol. The message from screenwriters Chris McKenna and Eric Summers who, incidentally, got their start writing on the equally politically incorrect sitcom.
Oh no, dude, no. Community, bro. Community. No, dude. No, don't tell me Community's right wing now. Oh no, anything good is right wing. That's what they do. That's the entire purpose of like fascist right wing ideology. Anything good is us, anything bad is the others. We claim all things. Like
Community is that the principles the United States was founded on are good, and they're worth fighting for. And
it's literally been going back thousands of years, like to the Christian seizure of like Christmas. Like, oh, you guys like the winter solstice? Yeah, that was when our prophet was born, actually. So good. Yeah, no, celebrate Christmas. Yeah, no, don't, bring a tree into your house and do a pagan ritual to decorate it. But no, it's totally us, like, because people like it, so it's got to be us. Everything good is us. We did everything good ever, and everything bad was the other guys, and you can't trust them. You just trust only us, because we did everything good. I don't know if I said that already.
they're intended to protect the happiness of the next generation. These days,
No deeper thought required. No actual looking into like Community and the fact that Community wasn't, for its time, one of the most diverse comedy casts assembled. I mean, even the Office was like somewhat diverse when it started, but this was like, yeah, white straight dude is kind of the main character, sure, but then an Indian autistic spectrum disorder kid, a black youth, a Jewish girl, an activist, left-wing agitator, Antifa chick, a black woman mom, an old man. Like they represented, yeah, it was extremely inclusive and diverse at its time, and a lot of its messages were, I would say, probably pretty left-wing, but they get to claim, oh yeah, this was a politically incorrect, so, and it was also good and funny, so it's actually right-wing. Get the fuck
it doesn't
out.
get more unwoke than that.